This girl was born with a special ability. With just a glance, she could see all of a person's stats. However, when she looked at the young man in front of her, all his stats were nothing but question marks. Moreover, he seemed to be proficient in all the magic of this world. But strangely, a man as powerful as him joined the Dragon Slayer Academy as a trash student. When it turned out this young man was Kim Ho. He was originally a genius gamer in the modern era. After only a few months, he had become the strongest player in the game Dragon Slayer Academy, but instead of continuing to climb the ranks, he decided to go into hiding and become a true support character. All the resources he earned, he used to level up potential students at the academy. 1-3 in this way, Kim Ho quickly achieved the record of training 1000s rank heroes in a single year. 1-3-4 Just as the young man thought his journey of conquering this new game was complete, a new notification sound appeared. The game system congratulated him, stating, "Congratulations, you have reached a legendary milestone that no one has achieved yet. A special quest has been activated, Prevent the Apocalypse, difficulty X. Wu45 When Kim Ho saw these notifications, he immediately thought of the X-rank heroes that usually cost a fortune to obtain. For a free-to-play player like him, this was clearly a bargain. He excitedly clicked the accept button repeatedly, completely oblivious to the large warning sign below the quest. This is a reincarnation quest. And what was meant to happen, happened. Kim Ho was directly transported into the Dragon Slayer Academy game. And so, a familiar scene unfolded. Like receiving a notification for a level 7 green dragon egg in a game, happily accepting it, only to wake up the next morning to find your 5-year-old free fire account gone. After a moment to collect himself, Kim Ho realized that all his skills and equipment had been wiped clean. Instead, he received a copy trait and an amplify skill at X rank. Copy seemed straightforward, but what was amplify? While Kim Ho was still pondering his next move, a new notification appeared. Guide a survival target for 10 minutes. Reward, Dragon Slayer Academy Starter Pack. Countdown, 10 minutes, starting now. Kim Ho was quite optimistic at this point. This beginner quest usually only involved fighting small monsters. But anything too normal is bound to be unusual. Just as he predicted, Kim Ho was immediately teleported to where two bosses were fighting each other. He ran for his life, utterly panicked. Two bosses right at the start of the tutorial. This is X difficulty. I need to get away. The red dragon cast some magic, and it looked like hell had opened up before them. Kim Ho originally Lyseo in text glanced over, figuring that if he got caught, he'd be dead before he could do anything. But as he ran, an idea suddenly sparked in his small head. Wait, isn't this the perfect time to try out copy? The red and green dragons fought chaotically in the sky, neither willing to yield. Kim Ho originally Lyle needed to witness an action to copy a trait, and more importantly, he had to identify the target's name and level. After a sky-shattering collision, he reached this conclusion: this should be easy. In Kim Ho's eyes, only one target was reflected, and the system immediately updated. Target trait, rank elemental resistance added as copy. He was utterly shocked and pleased. Understood. I didn't expect to be able to copy its rank trait so early. Luckily, rank elemental resistance greatly reduces damage from all elements. As he walked, he noticed fallen leaves in front of him. I want another skill. But without a mana core, I can't activate anything. Just getting its rank trait is enough though. But then, he became suspicious. Why is the wind blowing backward? He had thought things had calmed down, but who knew what kind of chaos was brewing? The red dragon took a deep breath. On the other side, the green dragon was no slouch, determined to fight its opponent to the death. Kim Ho originally Lyseo turned to look, then ran for his life. Is that a breath attack? The dragon's most deadly attack. There's no escaping it. Even with elemental resistance, it seemed like when giants fight, flies die. One dragon spewed fire, the other lightning, and Kim Ho was about to be obliterated. At this distance, I'm dead. Boom. Kim Ho barely managed to stumble out of the combat zone. The system appeared again. Tutorial complete. Reward, Dragon Slayer Academy uniform, student ID card, train ticket. Tutorial 2, board the train to Dragon Slayer Academy. Changing scene to the train station. The train journey to Dragon Slayer Academy was lively. Excuse me, could the young lady please stand up for a moment? A young man holding a sword asked a girl who was slumped over a table in front of him. There are no seats left. May I sit here? Getting no response, he answered his own question. Is the young lady asleep? He was about to excuse himself, apologizing for waking her and offering to find another seat. Before he could finish, another person walked in. No seats left. It turned out it was Kim Ho. Hearing the question, the young man with the sword hesitated and explained, not exactly. She hasn't said anything. The girl had been asleep the whole time and was only now groggily waking up. Kim Ho pointed and interjected, can I sit here? The girl simply accepted. Ease. Kim Ho replied, much to the ignored swordsman's bewilderment. Thank you. I am Kim Ho. The girl responded, Seo Yan. 167 Kim Ho invited the young swordsman. You can sit too, right? The girl, Seo Yan, looked him over. The young man with the sword introduced himself politely, clasping his hands together. Thank you. My name is Go Hyan Woo. When he spoke formally, thanks. I almost had to stand the entire trip. I will surely repay this favor, Kim brother. Kim Ho observed and evaluated. Indeed, a true wuxia protagonist, even in his manner of speech. He politely struck up a conversation. Why are you late? The friendly young man, Go Hyan Woo, replied, on the way here, I saw two ancient dragons fighting. I was so surprised I got lost. Kim Ho almost broke into a sweat, thinking, me too. I was terrified, I almost died. Smoke billowed and a long whistle sounded, and they realized, we're departing. Kim Ho began to ponder. Dragon Slayer Academy, a place I've visited countless times whenever a new hero appeared. I know everything like the back of my hand, it's practically boring. But this time, something is different. He looked at his two companions, silently noting their names, Go Hyan Woo and Seo Yan. 167 he felt detached, observing everything. Both the students and instructors were unfamiliar faces. Everything felt like a slow-motion film, each character was different. He made a judgment, the setting might be the same, but the characters have changed. That means upcoming events and quests might be different. I need to pay attention to any changes. Kim Ho felt uncomfortable with the gaze of the person next to him. And she keeps staring at me. On the other side, Seo Yan looked rather bored, not bothering with anything. Seo Yan had a special eye that converted everything she saw into stats. One looking at Go Hyan Woo, she found him rather ordinary. I'm talented, you're okay. Like that guy in front, he has a familiar status window, skill, heavenly sword arts, trait, sword arts E core, E all normal. But then she looked at Kim Ho, and it was a completely different story. Kim Ho was different. The status was He was so special she couldn't count how many status windows looked like that. Because he was special, she kept staring, making Kim Ho even more uncomfortable. He finally asked, why are you staring like that, kid? The girl remembered the advice from the adults at home, if you're interested in someone, do something kind for them. She immediately pulled out her suitcase. Inside, a bag of cookies stood out. Seo Yan offered the cookies. Want one? Kim Ho accepted, not wanting to be rude. Oh thanks. Homemade. Seo Yan confirmed him. He secretly praised the taste, it wasn't bad. He didn't expect the girl to offer only Kim Ho, while the guy next to him just got to watch. Kim Ho ate and asked, Go Hyan Woo, can I ask you something? Is that huge thing next to you a long sword? The young man confirmed, you're sharp, brother. He proudly introduced it, this is my family's heirloom. Unfortunately, I'm not yet qualified to break this seal, so it's like this for now. He then happily showed off a second black iron sword. Until then, this iron sword will be my companion. Don't worry, I haven't met an opponent yet that it couldn't handle. Kim Ho listened and commented, is that so? But it's probably better to get a more reliable weapon. Suddenly, a young man appeared from nowhere, opening the door and shouting loudly, attention everyone, I'll be here for a moment, hope I'm not bothering anyone. Go Hyan Woo, always enthusiastic, reply, no, not at all. Feel free, the uninvited guest chuckled heartily, thank you very much, just for a bit. Kim Ho noticed something strange, he hadn't heard any footsteps. He seemed to know who this was. He asked, why aren't you sitting in one place? Why are you running around? The energetic young man laughed, you caught me. The truth was, the kid struck a pose and presented a business card. Call Shin Byung-chun for anything you need. Dragon Slayer Academy delivery service. We can get you anything for a fee. Others were a bit skeptical. Anything? He confidently affirmed, of course. Kim Ho wasn't entirely convinced, as it went against school regulations. But the kid probably had experience. Just call, and it's done. Kim Ho caught on immediately. And now you're being chased for running a delivery service. Shin Byung-chun's face went pale. Yes. Shin Byung-chun looked out the window and cautiously asked, is it that obvious? Kim Ho suggested, just look out the window as if something is chasing you. There was a silhouette behind the door. We'll talk later. Shin Byung-chun pressed his face against the glass, looking terrified. A group of people, seemingly the student council, appeared. The girl at the front shouted loudly, come out now, we know where you are. Kim Ho observed, so the disciplinary committee has arrived. Shin Byung-chun awkwardly rubbed his head, smiled, and stepped out. Oh no, these students are given authority, and each one of them is stubborn. The disciplinary committee is responsible for maintaining order around the academy. Its members consist of early admitted first-year students who are then put in charge of managing the train, like now. The girl leading them angrily questioned, hand over what isn't yours. Before Shin Byung-chun could retort, he received an electric shock, as if from an autonomous region, as urgent as a debt collector. Kim Ho watched the girl seriously deploying her ability. Oh, a lightning mage. That's rare. He even thought about snatching it for himself. My copy still has a free slot, should I just take it? Just in case of emergencies. His friend Shin Byung-chun, however, seemed deaf to danger. Who's bad now? I'm terrible at close combat. The half-eaten cookie in Kim Ho's hand suddenly fell to the ground. The girl, wearing gloves, was determined to teach Shin Byung-chun a lesson. Still not giving up. Alright, I'll take you down. With a snap of her fingers, it lit up brighter than an autonomous region. A lightning bird formed, and she hurled it towards her opponent. Shin Byung-chun could only raise his hands to defend himself and endure the attack. A hand suddenly reached out, grabbing the lightning bird and neutralizing the attack. The hand was completely unharmed. The young girl from the disciplinary committee couldn't help but be stunned. There's a Donphim too. Kim Ho stepped forward, refuting, not exactly. You just knocked my cookie onto the floor. That's my cookie, and you made me drop it. The girl's face blanked. A system notification appeared. You have learned the hummingbird support magic. At the same time, Kim Ho spoke with an annoyed tone. You guys made me drop my cookie. It was delicious, and now I'm annoyed. Hearing this, Song Chun-hui argued back defiantly. Are you falsely accusing me? Don't stand in the way while we're being polite, or don't blame us for why the sea is salty. Go Hyun-woo immediately interjected, his hand subtly touching his sword sheath. I kindly ask you to be more careful. If you draw your sword, I won't stand idly by. The scene instantly became chaotic, the tension between the two groups palpable. The atmosphere grew heavy until Song Chun-hui's voice broke in, seemingly to defuse the situation. Wait a minute, we'll give you a discount voucher for desserts at the academy cafeteria. How about that? Kim Ho nodded with satisfaction. Alright, that works. Shin Byung-chun, standing nearby, muttered softly, wait. What about me? Kim Ho replied without hesitation, handle it yourself. A flash of light crossed Kim Ho's eyes, followed by the system's voice. Skill copied, Hummingbird A. Trait copied 1-1, rank elemental resistance. He grinned cheekily, thanks for the skill. At the same time, Song Chun-hui continued to accuse loudly, you stole the station employee's wig. This joke is going too far. Kim Ho felt momentarily helpless. He really does deserve a beating. Before leaving, she didn't forget to remind him, I have one piece of advice for you, don't get involved with Shin Byung-chun. He waved goodbye, I'll decide that myself. Have a good time working. Song Chun-hui turned back, letting out a cold scoff, I'll remember your face. As soon as the door closed, Go Hyun-woo couldn't hide his excitement and exclaimed, that was truly the disciplinary committee. Shin Byung-chun immediately replied, yeah, they're the elites of the elites. The one who just zapped me with the hummingbird was Song Chun-hui. Go Hyun-woo couldn't help but feel surprised. Is she that Song, the Topaz mage? Shin Byung-chun confirmed once more, yes, that Song. Song Chun-hui is the granddaughter of the Lightning Emperor, Song Ki-yum. He continued, listing like a roll call of divinities. The other three are not to be underestimated either. Dubai Rok is the disciple of the Fist King. Un Seo Mai is the student of the Sword Queen. And Gim Yeon-hun might not be on the same level as the others. But before he could finish, Shin Byung-chun suddenly hurried towards the door. It was great meeting you guys. Say hey next time we meet. Go Hyun-woo couldn't help but sigh, still full of vigor. After a moment, he turned to Kim Ho curiously. Kim brother, did you really step in for a cookie? Kim Ho shrugged slightly. She's a rare lightning mage. I was curious, that's all. Go Hyun-woo looked utterly bewildered. Didn't you just block an attack from Miss Som? Kim Ho suddenly countered, how much do you know about that hummingbird technique? Go Hyun-woo thought carefully. It's the first time I've seen it. It's so fast my eyes can barely follow it. Instead of dealing damage, it's primarily used to disable or paralyze the target. Kim Ho nodded, admiration clearly in his eyes. You got half of it right. Song Chun-hui's voice echoed in the silence. Then what's the other half? He looked up, his eyes suddenly bright as he began to explain. It's called the hummingbird because it mimics how a hummingbird flies. Kim Ho then seriously cautioned, its effectiveness varies depending on the user's ability. You can also judge their skill by looking at how the bird moves. He didn't forget to give an example. If Song Chun-hui were truly experienced, Kim Ho continued, then when I intervened, the hummingbird would have immediately veered in another direction. Kim Ho paused briefly. But it flew straight into my hand, didn't it? That means her control or combat experience is still lacking. Go Hyun-woo's eyebrows shot up in surprise. So much information from just one move. Kim Ho chuckled softly. Of course, that's not all. Kim Ho subconsciously calculated. She turned an E-rank magic into D-rank power. She must have a strong trait, or a naturally large mana pool. Either way, she's indeed worthy of being the Lightning Emperor's granddaughter. I should add her to my recruitment list. Go Hyun-woo fell silent for a moment, then burst out laughing. I've learned so much from meeting you today. This must be fate. Kim Ho couldn't help but laugh loudly. Fate is a bit of an exaggeration. If you ask, I'll just teach you. Go Hyun Woo immediately clasped his hands together and bowed slightly. Respectfully, you are truly generous. If you ever need help, please don't hesitate to ask me. I'll do my best. Kim Ho nodded, but instead of a usual thank you, he just said, really? Then come with me to this place. Before that, can I borrow a silver coin? Go Hyun Woo was almost dumbfounded. Immediately after, Kim Ho pulled back an old curtain. Before his eyes was a broken arcade machine. Before Go Hyun Woo could ask, Kim Ho kindly explained, this train was originally a tourist train. This area used to be a casino. It's a bit messy here. Hearing this, Go Hyun Woo looked confused. But isn't that broken? Kim Ho replied indifferently, probably. As soon as he inserted a coin, the machine unexpectedly came to life. Kim Ho was no less bewildered. Now perhaps. He looked directly at the working machine. Hidden event, broken slot machine. Kim Ho pulled the lever. Must take advantage of this now. Immediately, the machine spun, and finally, a bottle of water dropped out. He put on a helpless expression. Well, I wasn't expecting anything anyway. Go Hyun Woo couldn't hide his curiosity. Why did you come here, brother? Kim Ho hesitated then replied, actually, this goes against school regulations. The problem isn't using the machine, but the items that come out. Seeing this, Go Hyun Woo looked cautious. So, can I just watch? Kim Ho chuckled softly, yes, no problem. The disciplinary committee doesn't come here much anyway. They're probably checking other places now, so don't worry. In that moment, a familiar voice unexpectedly echoed from behind. Hey, what are you two doing here? It was first-year disciplinary committee member Han Seome. Kim Ho instinctively shivered. Looks like I do have to worry now. Talk of the devil, ho. Han Seome sternly reminded them, students are not allowed to touch this. Kim Ho tilted his head slightly. That doesn't violate rules or deduct points. Can you stall for a minute? Go Hyun Woo replied with a tense expression. I'll try. I want to try a few things too. She stared at both of them, her voice slow but full of killing intent. Helping rule breakers is also a violation, you know that, right? Go Hyun Woo clasped his hands in front of him, letting out a light breath. This is my choice. As soon as he finished speaking, Go Hyun Woo quickly drew his sword. I hear Miss Han studied swordsmanship from the Sword Queen. Could you grant me the honor of witnessing your technique? Han Seome slightly swung her staff, blocking. What's your name? Go Hyun Woo quickly replied, my name is Go Hyun Woo. I humbly seek your guidance. Hearing this, Han Seome rushed towards Go Hyun Woo. The corner of her mouth curved into a slight smile. Alright. Instantly, Han Seome powerfully swung her staff towards him. Seeing this, Go Hyun Woo swung his sword down, and her body was pushed back. Han Seome quickly regained her balance, then swiftly ran towards Go Hyun Woo without a word. Han Seome ferociously slammed her staff down on him. Kim Ho carefully evaluated. In terms of internal energy, he's inferior, his inner core is still lacking. He quietly observed, but he can't give up yet, there's still a lot of potential. Using Amplify, target's inner core trait upgraded from a to A. Duration, 1208 seconds. Cooldown, 1259 58 seconds. Kim Ho whispered softly, just hold her off for a minute. Immediately, the staff and sword blade grazed each other. At the same time, the system announced, duration, 0 12 19 seconds. Duration, 0 12 seconds. On this side, Kim Ho held a handful of coins, his eyes quietly glancing. Duration, 0 12 14 seconds. Slot machines are the most distinctive feature of casinos. Normally, no one would waste their coins gambling. But they didn't know this machine had an insurance system called hitting the jackpot. The machine vibrated gently, starting from 5 silver coins since playing. This is the 5th spin. Kim Ho held up a gleaming silver coin, his eyes bright as if he had found treasure. Here it is, another borrowed silver coin. The coin rolled into the slot machine's slot. He stood beside it, tensely calculating. The machine will definitely give the highest reward on the 6th spin. Jackpot rate, 100. Immediately, a C-rank dark ice crystal appeared, sending chills down his spine. Handle with care. Warning, this item can be fatal. As soon as he saw it, Kim Ho couldn't hide his excitement. Got it. Han Seome suddenly charged forward. At the same time, Go Hyun Woo dashed over, swinging his broken sword powerfully. It's not over yet. Duration, 0 seconds. He quickly turned back towards Kim Ho. Kim Ho unexpectedly poured the contents of a vial into his mouth. That's enough. Han Seome shrieked in horror. Hey, if you eat that, the system. The system suddenly lit up, applied status effect, frostbite. He clutched his throat, coughing. Immediately after, the system screen continuously announced, applied status effect, frostbite. After a long while, Kim Ho calmly shook the vial. It's fine. Both Go Hyun Woo and Han Seome exclaimed simultaneously. They suddenly stammered, what on earth was that vial? He replied calmly, without hesitation, basically, it's a kind of elixir. When consumed, it increases Manhwa. An insurance item for the 6th spin. For new players, the dark ice crystal is super poisonous. Even a tiny piece is enough to turn a person into an ice statue. Of course, Kim-ho was an exception, because he had rank elemental resistance. Kim-ho glanced to the side, his eyes clearly showing his calculations. Losing the cold energy from the ice crystal will allow its power to grow within me. Immediately after, Go Hyun-woo suddenly asked, Miss Han, are you alright? Han Seomi hesitated briefly. Not exactly. Kim-ho cut in, she saw everything. Only a fool would believe that. In contrast to them, Go Hyun-woo laughed heartily. I'm happy to have met Kim brother, thanks to you, I got to spar with Miss Han and even received good items. Kim-ho was no less excited. You helped me a lot, and you even lent me a silver coin. Go Hyun-woo suddenly offered, if you don't mind, could you show me your technique? Hearing this, Kim-ho quickly evaded. Next time. It needs time to cool down, and I can't reveal all my cards yet. In his heart, a plan secretly formed, the cooldown is still an hour, I can't reveal it yet. Go Hyun-woo nodded, understanding. I understand. Such a powerful technique must have conditions for use. Kim-ho replied softly, today is still long, I'm sure there will be a time when I need to use it again. The scene shifted to a distant island. The group cheered excitedly. We're almost there. Dungeon Island, the final stop of this train, is named after the number of dungeons on the island. In the past, this place was a lawless region teeming with criminals. Then, one day, the first hero and dragon slayer set foot on the island. He purged the criminals, conquered all dungeons, built a city, and founded the academy. Dragon Slayer Academy was born from that. Amidst the quiet scene, voices intermingled. First years go this way. Another person shouted a reminder, don't go that way. Don't follow the upperclassmen. Go Hyun-woo chuckled, amused by the commotion. At the same time, Aries cat suddenly scratched a female student. She shrieked in fright, hold it. Kim-ho sighed helplessly. It really is crowded. Just as the group was focusing their attention, Song Chun-hui suddenly spoke, stopping them. Excuse me. She folded her arms with a stern expression. Please come with us for a moment. At the student disciplinary room, Song Chun-hui greeted them in a raised voice. Sit down. There's only one room in the disciplinary committee. Anyone who enters it leaves as a changed person. The room of truth. Shin Hanjin's voice echoed in the enclosed room, colder than the air itself. I heard you ate something from the slot machine. It seems there's no problem, the scanner didn't detect anything. Hearing this, Kim-ho felt a hint of smugness. Of course the frostbite effect wore off ages ago, he carefully conjectured. It doesn't seem to be a prohibited item. Shin Hanjin paused before the table, his eyes slightly narrowing. But, Kim-ho, listen to me. I don't know if you're aware, but defying the disciplinary committee's orders will result in punishment. Shin Hanjin was a third-rank official, the head of the Dragon Slayer Academy's disciplinary committee. After a moment, his tone suddenly changed, his face visibly softening. Since no one was harmed, and this is your first offense, you won't be held responsible. But I hope this is the last time I have to see you here. Kim-ho quickly stood up. Yes, sir. Shin Hanjin politely continued, then you may go. I wish you a good semester. Kim-ho replied respectfully once more, yes, sir. Immediately after, Kim-ho turned and left the room. Shin Hanjin gently sipped his tea. It seems you don't like him, do you, Chun-hui? Song Chun-hui angrily gripped her sleeve. No matter how I look at it, he's suspicious. Song Chun-hui launched into an analysis. If the item wasn't prohibited, there's no reason to use the machine. She emphasized, there's also no reason to destroy all evidence on the spot. We've thought this through together. Song Chun-hui frowned deeply. It's highly likely he obtained an illicit skill. If we just use an appraisal, we can surely convict him. In contrast, Shin Hanjin seemed indifferent. Yes, perhaps. His voice deepened as he quietly asked, but what if we find nothing? If we go as far as using an appraisal and there's nothing, what do we do then? Faced with his sharp words, she hesitated briefly. Immediately Song Chun-hui bowed with an apologetic look. I apologize, I was too hasty. Shin Hanjin then changed his tone, his voice somewhat gentle. Chun-hui, I know you're very enthusiastic, but in situations like this, we need to take our time and consider the circumstances. A moment of silence passed. He turned and smiled kindly. All right, you can go back to your work. You'll be late for the entrance ceremony. The scene shifted to the classroom. Kim-ho stepped in. Thanks for saving me a seat. The system screen lit up, Tutorial 3 complete. You attended the entrance ceremony on time. Reward, E-rank weapon selection ticket, 5 silver coins. He scrolled through the virtual notification board, a slight smile on his face. An E-rank weapon is still better than nothing. Plus, I got back the exact amount of silver I put into the slot machine. In the plaza, students gathered in throngs. A few shouted, there he is. Is that the principal? He doesn't look like much. One of them whispered, I heard he once led a Dragon Slayer team. Typically, the principal of Dragon Slayer Academy would be a retired hero. The title of hero is bestowed upon only one person among countless ranks, just one. Despite his appearance, a colossal source of power resided within him. A student's soft voice echoed through the crowd. But didn't the saint refuse him 4 times? Another interjected, no, 5 times. He was just refused again. Kim-ho chuckled quietly. At the same time, the principal coughed twice. Greetings, new students. We sincerely congratulate you on enrolling in Dragon Slayer Academy. His voice resonated throughout the plaza. Dragon Slayer Academy was founded long ago, as its name suggests, to prepare for battle against dragons and train individuals to become dragon slayers. The principal paused, seemingly considering how many students' ears he would torment with his speech. The first hero emphasized the slayer in the name, so you must deeply ponder what slayer means. If you've never killed an ogre, you can't be called an ogre slayer. He suddenly posed a question. What is a slayer? One who hasn't killed a dragon cannot be called a dragon slayer. Kim-ho groaned softly. Oh Lord, this is going to be long. The principal continued to pontificate endlessly. Taking a life is the destiny and core of a monster slayer. Do not deny this truth. Instead, ask yourselves, why do I want to slay? Why do I want to take the lives of other creatures? I hope you will find your answers before graduation. And one more thing. A student's shout caused the crowd to join in. Stop it already. My head hurts. The principal, whether intentionally or not, continued, I hope you all become true heroes at this Dragon Slayer Academy. That is all. In contrast to the group, Go Hyun-woo laughed enthusiastically. That was truly a meaningful speech. Kim-ho glanced at him with confusion. Aren't you bored? Go Hyun-woo nodded sagely. Bored? Every single word was priceless wisdom. My master used to talk about such principles every day. Kim-ho unconsciously broke into a sweat. You have to listen to that every day. Suddenly, a female instructor with eyes as sharp as a pencil sharpener blade stepped onto the podium. A quick note, this year's list of prohibited items has been updated. If anyone is found with these items, you will be disciplined, and the items will be confiscated. Her voice slowed, as if threatening. Unless otherwise notified, all new students may only participate in practical training on the ground floor of the dungeon tower. If you descend to lower floors without permission, your family, magic tower, or guild will suffer the consequences, so be careful. The instructor peered over her glasses, her gaze extremely sharp. A curious mistake could bring disaster upon everyone. Be well aware of the rules and abide by them strictly to avoid punishment. The entrance ceremony concludes here. Everyone, return to your dorms in time for dinner. Someone swallowed loudly. That's it. Straight to the point. At the same time, Shin Byung-chun loudly called out, let's go eat, guys. Go Hyun-woo's eyes widened. Shin brother, what's wrong with you? Shin Byung-chun laughed. This. Just a small accident. Suddenly, Shin Byung-chun emphatically reminded them, you must eat your fill. Go Hyun-woo couldn't help but feel a little doubtful. Why? Shin Byung-chun quickly explained, tomorrow is the first day of classes, it's a big occasion. That night, in the male dormitory, Go Hyun-woo excitedly poked his head out. Luckily, we're next to each other. What a coincidence. Kim-ho casually teased, I wouldn't say that's so great. Go Hyun-woo laughed awkwardly. Good night, Kim brother. Kim-ho warily walked straight into his room. No way I'm going to sleep. Kim-ho hung his uniform in the corner of his closet, then immediately sat on his bed in a meditative pose. With such free time, Kim-ho sat with a straight back, a mystical blue aura emanating from him. I need to form my core. To use any skill requiring magic or internal energy, one needs a source of power, and that's the role of the core. He suddenly opened his eyes wide. This is my first time trying this outside the game, but I already know how. I've absorbed the ice crystal, so I have enough mana. I can do this. At the same time, in Go Hyun-woo's room, he diligently meditated. Han Seomi was the strongest opponent he had faced since descending the mountain. Although both had held back during their fight, if both had fought at full power, the outcome would have been difficult to predict. If not for Kim-ho's support, he might have been defeated as soon as his iron sword broke. Master was the word Go Hyun-woo used to describe Kim-ho from their first meeting, the calm demeanor only possessed by the strong, eyes so clear they seemed to see everything. Thinking of this, he shifted his gaze towards his sword. Should I ask him for help? That thought was immediately suppressed by Go Hyun-woo. No, I can't. He's my first friend. He returned to his meditative state, the corner of his mouth unconsciously curving upward. I'll do my best on my own first. The next day, in the temporary classroom, the students were all gathered. Seo Yan entered from outside, waving weakly. Go Hyun-woo's eyes immediately lit up. You're here. I was worried you might have overslept, young lady. Kim-ho immediately assessed, she probably did oversleep. One of the students looked up at the podium in confusion. Where's the teacher? The person next to him replied indifferently, don't know. Kim-ho couldn't help but sigh. The bell rang, but the teacher isn't here yet. I wonder who our homeroom teacher is, they're so careless. A figure glided past, and the female students immediately turned around. The students' faces suddenly changed color. Lee Soo-hyuk glanced around the classroom, his voice deep as a sigh from hell. Looking at your faces, I suppose I'm quite famous. Aren't I? It's a pleasure to meet you all. I'll be your homeroom teacher this year. My name is Lee Soo-hyuk. Immediately after, he unexpectedly pointed at a female student. You, there. What do you call me? She fearfully replied, the crime hunter, sir. Lee Soo-hyuk immediately dismissed her. No, the two-word one. The student trembled as she answered, It's the butcher, sir. Kim Ho frowned slightly. So it's him. In the world of Dragon Slayer Academy, superhumans who have surpassed human limits are more numerous than sand. Among them, there are those who use their power for twisted desires. Criminals are an indispensable part of this. Lee Soo-hyuk is tasked with hunting down and apprehending these criminals. His nickname, the Butcher, means he has killed more criminals than he has captured alive. He looked at the students with sharp eyes. I don't want to be here either, but I accepted the principal's request. I have never failed a single mission. A breath passed, and Lee Soo-hyuk continued in a chilling tone. So I hope you won't tarnish my record. Seriously, I'd rather kill you than let you fail. He quickly wrote on the blackboard, returning to the main topic. I will explain how grades are calculated. Lee Soo-hyuk sternly announced, theoretical exams account for 30, and awareness points account for 10 just breathing and staying out of trouble. For many, this is like free points. However, awareness points can drop below 0 and pull all other scores down. Then he paused, emphasizing, I'll be keeping an eye on the troublesome ones. Who knows? Maybe we'll meet again after graduation. Lee Soo-hyuk continued to announce the grading scale. Next is the most important part, practical exams. The practical exam is divided into dungeon conquest, where students must clear each floor, and sparring matches. The teacher's voice resonated steadily, accompanied by an invisible pressure. In sparring, students face each other, and points accumulate. In other words, students must perform better than those around them. At this point, Lee Soo-hyuk slammed his hand on the blackboard. Conquest and sparring each account for 30 of the total score. Any questions? It seemed there were none. Then let's head to the arena. Outside, a male and female student fought fiercely. Amidst the tense atmosphere, Lee Soo-hyuk loudly announced, It's time for the ranking test. Shin Byung-chun eagerly cheered, All right, this is a big deal. Go Hyun-woo suddenly realized, this is what you mentioned yesterday. To prepare students for all situations, the sparring rules change each time. The sparring rule for today's ranking test is a deathmatch. The match will not end until one side is completely unable to fight or surrenders. The time limit is 5 minutes. If no one wins, it will be declared a draw. Shin Byung-chun added, each person will fight 3 random students and gain points based on the number of wins. 300 points per win. Go Hyun-woo tilted his head towards Kim Ho. So what about a draw or a loss? Kim Ho quickly replied, no points, but no deductions either. Suddenly, a system screen appeared before Kim Ho's eyes. Side quest, ranking test. Objective, achieve above average rank in the test. Win at least one sparring match 0. Rank in the top 50 for dungeon conquest. Current rank, none. Reward, support skill 1 empty slot. He meticulously calculated, so I just need to win one sparring match and perform moderately well in the conquest. But the important thing now was something else. Thinking this, Kim Ho turned his gaze towards Songchun Hui. The ranking test is the perfect time to learn about other students' abilities. An opportunity for talented individuals to train to rank, or to remember students with skills or traits worth copying. A moment later, Lee Soo-hyuk announced over the loudspeaker, Kim Ho, Hong Yeon-hwa, to the stage. Go Hyun-woo immediately cheered, good luck, Kim brother. Instantly Hong Yeon-hwa and Kim Ho simultaneously appeared on the stage. Kim Ho carefully observed his opponent. My opponent is the Rubai Tower. The Rubai Tower specializes in fire magic, known for high firepower, and excellent area control. It was my number 1 choice in my game. Kim Ho unconsciously chuckled, sorry, but play with me for 5 minutes, okay. Hong Yeon-hwa stood in the middle of the arena, her sharp eyes sweeping over Kim Ho. A burning resolve echoed in her mind. I must make a name for myself. To do that, I must defeat someone renowned. Hong Yeon-hwa had never heard Kim Ho's name before. Hong Yeon-hwa's eyes suddenly darted to Kim Ho's hand. What kind of weapon is that? Even a novice mage would scoff at that A-grade earth staff. It was indeed an A-grade earth staff, slightly increasing earth magic and defensive magic. She carefully analyzed, it's definitely not from the Emerald Tower, nor does he look like an earth mage. That means he's only using that staff to support defensive magic. The length of the staff shows he prioritizes power over agility. At the same time, Lee Soo-hyuk loudly counted down. 3, 2, 1. Hearing this, Hong Yeon-hwa quickly raised her magic staff high. In short, he's just a support mage standing still. At the same time, the teacher shouted, begin. She immediately unleashed a burst skill. Manhwa secretly vowed, I'll finish this with a quick blow. Witnessing the rare sight, the students began to discuss. Did you see that spell? It didn't even flash. Another replied, definitely Rube Tower standard. Manhwa's expression suddenly changed. The system announced the scores, Manhwa 100, Kimho 100. She could hardly believe her eyes. No way, I didn't think it would be a direct hit. But like this. On the side, Kimho slowly approached Manhwa. She unconsciously felt afraid. Did it do nothing? The large screen showed, scores, Manhwa 100, Kimho 100. At this moment, both were enveloped in the dust on the arena floor. Manhwa frowned, wondering, no effect. Did he use a dispel spell? Then she pointed her staff directly at him, while forming a barrier with her other hand. If that's the case, how about this? Kimho coldly looked at the fixed spell she used. Dispel won't stop this either. Looking at the barrier surrounding him, he thought, let's try moving. If there's an opening, I'll strike. Noticing something unusual, Manhwa immediately grew suspicious. Hup. What is this? His nonchalant demeanor made her wonder, why is he just standing there? She saw his carefree attitude as contempt. If he was so confident, Manhwa unleashed a powerful force from the orb on her staff, and shouted, then try. Blocking this, a pillar of fire. Flames shot forward, and Kimho slightly frowned. Immediately after, a blazing column of fire engulfed his body. Those in the stands were also affected by the terrifying power. Some exclaimed, that's the Rube Tower's caliber. Suddenly, their faces froze. Seeing Kimho still standing tall after the fiery outburst, she exclaimed in her mind, he blocked an attack from the future Rube Tower master and he's unharmed. Manhwa told herself, at this rate, I'll have to use my trump card. At this moment, Kimho silently released a dazzling blue light. As it flew closer, Manhwa was surprised to realize it was the hummingbird. The bird flew at incredible speed, heading straight for her. Fortunately, Manhwa immediately dodged. Before she could regain her composure, it turned around and slammed hard into her back, making her cry out in pain. At this moment, the large screen showed, applied status effect, paralysis. On the arena floor, Manhwa crumpled to the ground, surrounded by flashing electric sparks that enveloped her body. Kimho coldly spoke, let's end it here. He looked at Manhwa with a concerned yet kind expression, reminding her, you should save your trump cards for later matches. Given her miserable state, his words sounded nothing short of sarcastic. Think about the bigger picture. Immediately after, the large screen announced, score, Manhwa lost this. Kimho win. The audience was surprised and exclaimed, huh. Manhwa lost. How did he not lose any? Who is that guy? He doesn't look like he's from the genius group. We can't find him. Who on earth is he? Hearing these words, Kimho worriedly thought, I'm getting more attention than I planned. I need to be careful now. Just as he thought this, the announcer threw a cold splash of water on him. Next up, Kimho. He grimaced and sighed, again. No rest at all. The next name was called out, Song Chun Hui. The students couldn't help but be surprised, turning to discuss. Huh. Song Chun Hui. From the Imperial Jade Tower. Yeah, I heard she joined the disciplinary committee right after enrolling. Song Chun Hui walked out with a fiery aura, and an undeniably ready gaze. She carefully put on her gloves. It's truly fortunate to fight you. I have something I need to confirm with you. Kimho, after hearing these words, simply looked at her in silence without replying. Then, without hesitation, he turned to the judge and said, I surrender. Song Chun Hui angrily exclaimed, huh. Lee Soo-hyuk frowned and asked, why? Kimho rubbed the back of his neck, closing one eye. I'm not in my best condition. Fighting again today would be difficult for me. Lee Soo-hyuk looked puzzled. Isn't it better to get as many points as possible? He asked again to confirm. So you really want to give up? Kimho replied without hesitation, yes, I can't push myself. Ignoring Song Chun Hui's tightly clenched and slightly trembling hand, he calmly added, I'll also forfeit the third match. Lee Soo-hyuk, seeing he couldn't stop him, immediately agreed. Alright, I'll count it as a loss. At this, Song Chun Hui immediately mocked him. Pathetic. Always ready to fight. With a determined expression, she said loudly, my grandfather always said not to hesitate, even if the situation isn't ideal, and to fight for victory until the very end to reach the peak. Hearing this, Kimho realized with a start, her grandfather is the Lightning Emperor, isn't he? Like grandfather, like granddaughter. He could see the Lightning Emperor's powerful demeanor through her steadfastness. For a competitive hero, it was certainly true, but it had nothing to do with him. Thinking this, he turned his back and waved his hand, leaving Song Chun Hui with a bewildered expression. Yeah, I guess it's not for me. Consider it your win. She also turned her back to him with a look of disgust. Truly disappointing. I must be a fool to expect anything from you. Suddenly he exclaimed, "Oh, right." She immediately turned back and asked, "What?" Kim Ho casually said, "Didn't you say you'd give me a dessert voucher?" His words made Song Chun-hui so angry she almost laughed. "I'm still waiting." Then, Lee Soo-hyuk spoke. Next, Song Chun-hui is Yang Ji-hoon. As soon as Yang Ji-hoon appeared, he burst out laughing without reservation. "It's the Imperial Jade Tower. This is great." Suddenly, his laughter died. "Hey, are you ready?" Lee Soo-hyuk loudly shouted, "Begin." Immediately, a huge surge of power shot out like an arrow and flew straight towards Yang Ji-hoon. Moments later, the large screen again showed the score: Song Chun-hui wins, Yang Ji-hoon 0. On the arena floor, Song Chun-hui stood with a cold demeanor. Shin Byung-chun asked in surprise, "Did she target him?" Kim Ho, next to him, replied indifferently, "Probably." Looking at the medics carrying Yang Ji-hoon's body away, Shin Byung-chun sighed in relief. "Good thing you surrendered before you turned into barbecue, I told you." On the arena floor, Song Chun-hui shot him an angry, almost insane look. Shin Byung-chun immediately glanced worriedly at Kim Ho and asked, "Did you see that look just now?" Next to him, Shin Byung-chun continued to exclaim, "She's truly the Lightning Emperor's granddaughter, what an incredible start." Kim Ho, at this moment, wore a satisfied smile. "Alright, now I just need to win." Above him, several students looked confused, whispering to each other. Goodness, who would give up in a ranking test? He must have been scared when he saw his opponent was Song Chun-hui. So, winning against Hong Yan-hwa earlier was just luck, then. He's probably just a worthless coward. All of this fell into his discerning eyes. Kim Ho told himself, "I shouldn't be too noticeable, but I defeated Hong Yan-hwa from the Rubai Tower. This is the type of fame I want." A moment later, Instructor Lee Soo-dok's voice echoed again. Next, Song Chun-hai. Byung-jun looked at the notebook in his hand, surprised. "Oh, next already. Who's the unlucky opponent?" Equipped thoroughly, she stepped out at Instructor Seong-ren's call. Seeing her appearance, Byung-jun was surprised. "Hup. A musketeer. What a surprise." Kim Ho is paying attention to her too, right? "I just found out." On Song Chun-hai's cold face, exclamations rang out. "This is getting interesting. Musketeers are natural rivals to mages. It wouldn't be strange for Song Chun-hai to lose this match." Kim Ho's eyes gleamed as he retorted, "Who knows? We'll have to see." Byung-jun disagreed. "No way. A musketeer playing it safe wouldn't lose." He turned and raised his hand. "That 5 silver." Byung-jun immediately agreed. The scoreboard showed, Song Chun-hai 100 is, Ren 100. Below, Song Chun-hai's sharp gaze was matched by Ren's calm demeanor. The command signal rang out, "Begin." Ren immediately fired bullets at her opponent. Without expending too much effort, with just one strike, Song Chun-hai stopped the bullets mid-air. They halted just before reaching her. Byung-jun on the spectator stand exclaimed regretfully, "Halt. Block." Kim Ho maintained his calm expression, "Just as I thought." Observing the attack she launched, it wasn't too difficult for him to realize that Song Chun-hai's mana pool was much larger. Her great hummingbird skill was equivalent to a degrade. On the opposite side, Ren also continuously fired attacks. Ren quickly dodged 2 surprise attacks from Song Chun-hai. Suddenly, Song Chun-hai subtly twisted her finger, and a bird darted towards Seo Ren. Unable to react in time, she was harshly grazed across her cheek. Immediately after, Song Chun-hai's electric current also paralyzed her body. Byung-jun regretfully noted in his notebook, "Whoa, if that hit, the match would have ended." Kim Ho didn't think so. He said, he dodged it, but his movement has slowed. Looking at Song Chun-hai's calm demeanor on the arena, if he got shocked, the next attack is sure to hit. Just as I thought, Song Chun-hai won't win easily. At this moment, a swift hand pulled something from her side. Ren pulled the pin and threw it towards her opponent. It immediately flew towards her and released thick clouds of smoke. Kim Ho exclaimed in surprise, "Ho, a smoke bomb." Byung-jun became even more excited. He wrote in his notebook, "Excellent assessment." A normal smoke bomb would have been blocked. At Song Chun-hai's panic, his voice echoed with delight. Now the situation has changed. This is where a musketeer shines. The dense smoke quickly enveloped the arena. Just as Song Chun-hai was bewildered, a powerful blow struck her back. Looking at the protective shield on her back, she gritted her teeth and thought, "Titch, I blocked it with the shield, but the impact still made me lose my balance." Observing her surroundings, she thought, "If this continues, I'll be in danger." On the spectator stand, Byung-jun remarked excitedly, "That little girl must be rich." A first year with an invisibility cloak, Ren's gun also caught his attention. Switching to a sniper rifle is smart too. A bullet grazed past, but Song Chun-hai quickly dodged it. Immediately after, when she turned around, Ren had also disappeared. At this moment, the large screen display, Song Chun-hai 85 is, Ren 88, remaining time 2 minutes 13 seconds. Straining her eyes to observe every movement around her, Song Chun-hai reminded herself that she couldn't keep defending forever. At this moment, Ren silently aimed her gun at Song Chun-hai's back. A bullet flew straight towards Song Chun-hai's head. But luckily, the shield she created blocked it. She told herself she had to anticipate the direction of Manhwa bullets. With another bullet just hitting her shield, she thought, now. With that, she immediately turned around. Immediately after, Song Chun-hai saw Ren's position. An attack rushed forward. Ren hastily flew up to avoid it. Seeing her, Song Chun-hai immediately regained her confidence. Found her, looking at the electric current rushing towards Seo Ren's neck. Song Chun-hai sneered, can't dodge it anymore, huh? The electric current ran through her body, making every muscle group in Ren's body stiffen. She cried out in pain. At this moment, the system screen displayed, Song Chun-hai 85 is, Ren 68, remaining time 1 minute 0 seconds. On the arena, Seo Ren was officially defeated, and the smoke gradually dissipated. Kim Ho calmly stated, no need to discuss it. Beungjun next to him ruffled his hair in astonishment, and asked, she really lost? Looking at Song Chun-hai's confident posture, he realized that no first year could compare to her. The notification board appeared, Song Chun-hai wins, Seo Ren loses. His eyes shifted to Ren. She was slowly standing up. But to endure Chun-hai is also impressive. Beungjun dropped 5 silver into his ear. 5 silver, as promised. Suddenly he said to him, wait. How about another round? Men have to do 3 rounds, right? Kim Ho frowned and reminded him, are you addicted to betting? 1 time is enough. He looked towards the person on the arena floor and said, come on, look over here, you might change your mind. Because Hugh Young's next opponent is a burly man standing right opposite him. Beungjun introduced, the disciple of the Fist King, Du Baok. He turned to Kim Ho and asked, who are you betting on? Kim Ho thought for a moment and then slowly said, let's see, probably the Fist King's disciple. Hearing his decision, Beungjun immediately said, then I'll bet on the other side. We're on the same boat, why are you so cruel? Kim Ho showed no expression, his voice still calm. I'm just speaking the truth. I didn't say Hugh Young would lose. Beungjun was puzzled. Then what do you mean? Kim Ho slightly smiled. Just watch and you'll know. Go Hee Young looked up at the stands and immediately recognized Kim Ho watching. He drew the sword from his hip and secretly resolved to perform his best. But it won't be easy. Du Baok saw this and immediately asked, why don't you draw the sword from your back? He replied, unfortunately, it's not time yet. Du Baok then reminded him, regrettable. Du Baok stared at him, and said coldly, I won't hold back. Hee Young also lowered his voice and said, I wish the same. The large screen displayed, Go Hee Young 100 vis, Du Baok 100, along with the command to begin. Immediately, Du Baok rushed forward with a flurry of attacks. Looking at his confident appearance, Go Hee Young exclaimed, truly the Fist King's disciple, not a single wasted movement. A punch flew towards him, surprising him and forcing him to retreat. His body seemed to lose gravity, constantly flying backward. Hee Young angrily thought, even though I absorbed the impact, I was still pushed back so far. I can't use basic attacks. Looking at Du Baok, who was like a charging sandbag, a thought flashed through his mind. So be it, Hee Young lightly stroked his blade, telling himself he would finish it with one fluid blade strike. Immediately after, 2 opposing streams of power clashed head-on. As Du Baok swept past, his sword could not withstand it and immediately shattered, fragments flying everywhere. Seeing this, Go Hee Young was disappointed, it seems I can't continue. A surrender. Du Baok also lightly touched the torn piece of his shirt. I look forward to our next encounter. The results were announced. Go Hee Young loses his. Du Baok wins. Kim Ho quietly exclaimed, just as I thought, the iron sword couldn't hold up. He recalled a memory. I suspected it from the moment I saw it on the train. He really uses iron swords as consumables. Beungjun was utterly astonished, holding his head in disbelief, exclaiming, no way, you predicted this too. A hand quietly grasped his shoulder. You give me too much credit. Kim Ho gave a gentle smile. 5 silver. Beungjun replied sheepishly, I'm out of money now. Kim Ho was not angry at all but suggested to him, you don't necessarily have to pay with money. Hearing this, Beungjun happily asked, really? Then with what? Kim Ho replied, exchange it for information you have. At this moment, outside the building, Instructor Lee Sudok's instructions echoed. After lunch, we will continue with the punitive exam. Gather at the dungeon building. Don't be late. Dismissed. Under the green grass, students were resting after their strenuous battles. Some sat together in an awkward atmosphere. So excited for the punitive exam. Some diligently enjoyed their food. Oh, delicious. On this side, Kim Ho's group was also calmly resting. Beungjun chewed while talking, so, what information do you want? Kim Ho disgustedly said, finish chewing first. That's gross. A moment later, Beungjun cleared his throat and asked, sorry, what information do you need? Kim Ho replied, tell me about the highlights of the 4 main factions. He immediately agreed with him. Alright, this information is already widely known. The 4 main factions, aside from the Dragon Slayer Academy Disciplinary Committee, there are 4 major factions, the Harem Alliance, the Guild Alliance, the Magic Association, and the Knights Order. Leading these factions are, the grandson of Sword Sage Mu Young Hui Sung, from the Harem Alliance, Mu Young Run, successor to the Ruby Tower Lord, from the Magic Association, Hong Yaon, Dark Neri from the Guild Alliance, who always has a cat on her shoulder and is a promising member concealing her true strength. One more thing, finally the son of the great swordsman, Lee Seom Hyun, from the Knights Order. After flipping through his notes, Byung-jun said, these are particularly strong individuals. Kim Ho listened and exclaimed, that's impressive. Suddenly, Byung-jun looked around and asked, where's Hyun? Looking at his phone screen, he exclaimed in surprise, the club president. I completely forgot. He quickly ran off, not forgetting to say goodbye to Kim Ho. I'm going first, sorry. Kim Ho repeated, why so rushed? At this moment, only he and Ren remained, and the atmosphere suddenly froze. Looking at the girl diligently biting into a piece of bread, he thought to himself, perhaps it's because she's the first person I've connected with in this world. I can't just sit by and watch her lose heart. Thinking this, he called out, hey, that cookie I dropped on the train yesterday. Kim Ho scrolled through the system screen. Song Chun-hai sent a dessert coupon. Since it's your cookie, I'll share it with you. He brought over a blueberry muffin and cheerfully said, let's eat together. Ren quietly replied, thank you. While eating, Ren suddenly spoke, hey. He tilted his head, puzzled. There were still crumbs of bread on her lip. She seriously asked, do you think I lost to Song Chun-hai? Hearing this, Kim Ho sighed and replied, mana bullets can't respectfully pierce a mana barrier. A mage with a larger mana pool naturally has an advantage. Before Seo Ren's bewildered face, Kim Ho placed a bullet in front of her. But with mana bullets reinforced, it's a different story. Seo Ren asked, confused, mana training. Why haven't I had to do that yet? Kim Ho asked, startled, huh? Don't tell me you've never tried it. She replied, never. His next question left her stunned. Then how did you create mana bullets before? Kim Ho asked, surprised, you've never created mana bullets before. Without hesitation, Seo Ren replied, no, never. Kim Ho stared at her, dumbfounded, then exclaimed, a genius. Then, mana bullets are supposed to be a basic skill for all musketeers. Looking at Seo Ren's innocent face, countless questions arose in his mind. So she'd been fighting purely by instinct until now. And she even gave Song Chun-hai a tough time without knowing how to train mana. After a moment of deep thought, he asked, if you don't mind, would you let me see your skill? Seo Ren replied, okay. He encouraged her with a confident expression, mana training and learning skills will make things much easier. The bell rang, let's go. One instructor Lee Sudok's voice echoed, it's time for the ranking test. One in the dungeon hall, Lee Sudok stood before 3 gates and announced, everyone is here. I will explain the dungeon challenge. When he looked seriously at the students lining up and laid out the rules. The test will be conducted inside the dungeon gates behind me. Foggy Forest, 10-minute limit, scoring system. Fixed zone. On this dungeon has 2 special rules. First is the scoring rule. You will receive points based on the number of monsters you defeat within 10 minutes. The goal is to kill as many monsters as possible. 1 second, the fixed zone is a rank-locked area. Equipment, skills, and traits will all be fixed at rank. Lee Sudok carefully reminded everyone, don't forget, your core will also be reduced to rank. Be careful. If you're careless or can't manage your mana, you'll regret it. I will start calling names one by one. The first few students who participated in the test lay sprawled on the ground, groaning, their bodies trembling uncontrollably. Seeing this, a thought crossed his mind, it's really that bad. Truly a disaster. Lee Sudok's eyes glanced to the side. Only a few students performed well. In a small corner, Hans's group had excellently completed the test with astonishing results. Hans 928 points, rank 1, 530 points, top 20. One seeing how few students passed, instructor Lee Sudok sighed inwardly. Only these 2. My head already hurts. He then called out in a wary voice, next group. 2 names were called, Seo Ren, Kim Ho. Suddenly, he grabbed her arm. Wait, Seo Ren. For this challenge, use a rifle. Seo Ren did not hesitate and obediently listened to him. Okay. One from a distance, Song Chun-hai shot a dagger-like gaze at the 2 of them. At that moment, Kim Ho gently reminded Seo Ren, if mana control is too difficult, just aim for the head when enemies get close. She was very obedient to him and calmly replied, okay. When Song Chun-hai thought, confused, he doesn't even use a gun. What kind of advice is that? Before stepping through the gate, he didn't forget to wave at her, see you later. When entering the fixed zone and looking at the surrounding scenery, Kim Ho mused, foggy forest, huh. It's been a while. One adjusting the levels of his skills, traits, and equipment, he touched the system screen to see, where am I? Let's begin. One at the same time, the test screen displayed, time remaining, 10 minutes. In front of him, a green beast charged forward. At the same moment, the timer started. Time remaining, 9 minutes 59 seconds. The monster lunged forward and bit straight into a tree root in front of him. When he swung his sword in a perfect arc, sending it flying backward. In the foggy forest, monsters will appear randomly as soon as you enter, when his eyes constantly scanned for the slightest movements in the forest. Even so, there are still some familiar attack patterns, one judging by the position that Goblin appeared, its typing. Without hesitation, Kim-ho swung his knife in one direction, meaning the next one would come from there. When just as he calculated, the blade flew straight into the monster that was about to rush out, immediately piercing its eye socket. The monster fell backward onto the ground, creating a resounding thud. When he sighed in relief, so I don't even need to use a staff. With an axe in one hand, and a knife in the other, he was full of confidence. Weapons are scattered everywhere here. I'll just borrow from the orcs and goblins. One Kim-ho walked towards the monsters gathering to attack. He imagined the test as a game and confidently carried his axe. Now, time to get points. One with that, fierce roars echoed in the silent forest, and blood spurted out like water, staining the area red. A moment later, the monsters looked at him with a hint of fear in their eyes. One at this time, the screen displayed, time remaining, 7 minutes 2 seconds. Kim-ho was aware of their positions. He told himself, to Cho from the edge, wait. I can't let this be recorded. One he casually tossed the knife in his hand towards the Cho and calmly scrolled through the system screen. Almost forgot. If it saves my movement and hunting style, it could lead to misunderstandings. I need to delete it. One looking at the content on the screen, he sighed. 683 points in 3 minutes. My current score is 683 points. I really took down a lot. One Kim-ho touched the screen and thought. And the submissions are done too. Objective. Achieve a high average score in the test. Win at least one match in the one-phone duel. Rank in the top 50 in the dungeon challenge. Current rank, no reward yet. Copy slot 1. Any higher and I'll just draw attention. One standing before the gate, he thought, I'll stop here and go out. One as soon as he stepped out, he immediately saw Seo Ren. Her body was unbelievably battered. Her results also appeared. Seo Ren, 0 minutes, 781 points, top 21. One Kim-ho approached her and asked, how is it? Are you okay? She sighed and exclaimed, insanely tired. One ignoring instructor Lee Soo-dok's gaze, he worriedly asked Seo-ren, tired. Your score isn't bad at all. Lee Soo-dok frowned, thinking, didn't this kid give up in the duel? And he didn't even last 10 minutes. He must be planning to drop out early. One Lee Soo-dok looked at him with a disdainful gaze and wondered, with such poor willpower, how does he plan to hunt dragons? One wait, looking at his results, the instructor was surprised. Average rank, he got that many points in such a short time. Kim-ho, 683 points, 38. Has there ever been a case like this before? One the instructor's gaze towards him was completely different now. Lee Soo-dok thought to himself, Kim-ho, I need to investigate this. One then he called the next name. Next, Go Hee-young. One Kim-ho reminded him. Be careful. Go Hee-young looked back and replied, I'll be back soon. One looking at the top 3 results board, a thought emerged. Lee Seon-hyun, the son of the great swordsman. One scoreboard. Lee Seon-hyun 951 points, rank 1, Hans 928 points, rank 2, Mu Young-run 903 points, rank 3. And Mu Young-run is the grandson of Sword Sage, right? One Lee Soo-dok inwardly compared, if the top opponent is on Hans's level, then Go Hee-young is also something to behold. One not long after, the new rankings were updated. Lee Soo-dok exclaimed inwardly, just as I thought. Scoreboard, Go Hee-young 1023 points, rank 1. Lee Seon-hyun 951 points, rank 2, Hans 928 points, rank 3, Mu Young-run 903 points, rank 4. He's really rank 1. One seeing Go Hee-young walk out, whispers and murmurs arose around them. Is that the kid from that group? No wonder he fought so well earlier. 1,000 points is really possible. Ho. One Kim-ho immediately stepped forward and beamed. You did great. Go Hee-young politely replied, Brother Kim, it's all thanks to you. One he cheerfully extended his hand towards Kim-ho and respectfully said, please let this junior rest after the duel test. It helped me get a lot of points. One Kim-ho awkwardly replied, you're exaggerating. One seeing the two's closeness, the person behind them grew envious. What's wrong with that guy? Clinging to the first place like a coward. One someone else chimed in, didn't he give up on the duel test? One Go Hee-young heard this and angrily shouted, hey. Kim-ho quickly stopped him. It's fine, let it go. One Go Hee-young turned away, indignant. But brother Kim. Kim-ho quickly reassured him, I said it's okay. Go Hee-young sighed and lowered his voice, alright, if brother Kim wants it. One Kim Ho asked, "Are you done already?" Do Hee-young looked up at the results board. "I still haven't seen Miss Song Chun-hai's results." One looking at the motionless door, Kim Ho wondered, "Oh, not done yet." In the space, she was surrounded by a dense swarm of monsters. Song Chun-hai swung her sword and said, "This is nothing." One suddenly she exclaimed in surprise, "What?" Looking at the monsters, which were only slightly annoying, she thought in astonishment, "I knew my power would decrease. But it's just a little slower, right?" One at this moment, Kim Ho's advice to Seo Rin flashed in her mind. If mana control is too difficult, just aim for the head when monsters get close. One she was surprised to realize it. Song Chun-hai clenched her fists and thought, annoyed, how irritating. His advice just popped into my head. One mana is limited, an area of effect skills can't be fully utilized. She followed his advice and unleashed a critical strike. If that's the case, then aim directly for one vital point, a one-shot kill. One at this moment, as she stepped out, her results also appeared. Song Chun-hai, 571 points, top 47. One seeing her dismal results, she blushed and thought, why did it show immediately? Score isn't good. It's really embarrassing. One at this point, Instructor Lee Soo-dok announced, the ranking test is now concluded. Results will be announced tomorrow. Rest well. Don't drop out. One after that, he decisively turned and dismissed them. Moving to a room, a cheerful voice echoed, yes, please come in. Then a startled gasp, oh. Instructor Lee Soo-dok, why are you here? One Instructor Lee Soo-dok leaned his hands on the table, his voice clear, I want to see the dungeon challenge footage of Kim Ho from class women as 3. 1-0, you're interested in a student. That's rare. One Lee Soo-dok lowered his voice, his expression turning serious. No time for idle chatter, show me the recording. One the other instructor immediately replied nervously, yes, let me check. One looking at the screen, that instructor site, Kim Ho's replay was not saved, so it cannot be viewed. One Lee Soo-dok asked expectantly, then what about the dungeon records? The supervising instructor stammered, that will be in the access law. This is. One Instructor Lee Soo-dok realized with surprise, just as I thought. This kid, Kim Ho, intentionally deleted the recording from the foggy forest. One looking at the results board, he suspiciously thought, at this speed, he could have easily gotten 2,000 points in 10 minutes. One Kim Ho, foggy forest, 131 pm 2 seconds, 134 pm 28 seconds, 638 points 38. One why is he hiding his true strength? Don't tell me. He worriedly calculated, in Dragon Slayer Academy, the more allies you have, the more enemies you attract. The subordinates of the dragon cult and the disciples of the evil god. If one of them has infiltrated the academy, it's best to prepare countermeasures now. One at this moment, the other instructor noticed something unusual and asked, should I report this to the principal? Lee Soo-dok suddenly hesitated but, after a moment of thought, decisively replied, no. For now, just keep an eye on them. If the information is leaked without evidence, they'll just hide deeper. When he turned away, his gaze still fixed on Kim Ho's information on the screen. If it truly becomes a concern, its fangs will soon be revealed. For now, we'll just observe. Kim Ho's photo was clearly displayed on the screen. It was 3:27 p.m. Dragon Slayer Academy cafeteria. Kim Ho approached the counter and ordered a cup of coffee for me. Go Hee-young, hearing this, chimed in, I'm also interested in this coffee thing. Seo Rin next to him looked dejected. I'm going home first. Seeing her tired appearance, Kim Ho didn't stop her. Then we'll stay here a little longer. Placing the coffee cup on the table, he said to Go Hee-young, check the catalog we received at the end of class. Go Hee-young replied, you mean that thin book? Looking at the pages in front of him, he said, I don't quite understand everything written here. Kim Ho encouraged him, that's why we need coffee, to see what's important today. He gently reminded him, first, look at your student ID card. The card clearly read, Go Hee-young, class women is 3, score 3069. Go Hee-young exclaimed in surprise, oh, this score wasn't here initially. Kim Ho explained, that number is your usable score. Go Hee-young, class women is 3, score 3069. This is the currency used in Dragon Slayer Academy. He pointed to a page in the book, it's usually received from dungeon punitive tests, like the one just now. You can use it to buy items or use facilities. Now, there's something that requires the most points. He threw the book onto the table. You must have seen the notification about recording right before leaving the dungeon. Go Hee-young replied, startled, that's right. Kim Ho then eagerly introduced him, currently, you can buy. The screen in front of him displayed, item purchased, minus 100 points, another person's recording. Looking at the interesting orb in front of him, Go Hee-young immediately recognized it. This is Hans's punitive test process. At that moment, Kim Ho remembered something. Since you ranked first, your recording must be selling incredibly well. As soon as he finished speaking, the screen continuously displayed items sold. Hee-young, ranking punitive test 928 points, replay 100 points, 100 points, 100 points. Looking at the continuously appearing numbers, Go Hee-young exclaimed, "It's really increasing non-stop." Go Hee-young suddenly worried, "But having your recording sold like this isn't good." Kim Ho sighed and replied, "Yes, people will try to dig out every small weakness, even down to your counterattacks." Kim Ho sighed in relief. Fortunately, this was an individual test, so you could aim for the top, but in direct combat, which includes mana duels, your weak core will be immediately exposed. Then he explained in a louder voice, "However, that risk is worth it. We can use this to get into the special mana training room at the training center." A body structure with abundant mana appeared in his mind. The most important facility there is the special mana room. The mana there is denser than normal, so your inner power will increase very quickly. Go Hee-young stood up abruptly and asked, "There's such a place?" Kim Ho replied without hesitation, "Of course, but you need to meet the conditions to enter." Go Hee-young's voice suddenly softened. "Then it must cost a lot of points." Kim Ho replied, minus 500 points every 6 hours. Go Hee-young sat down, ruffling his hair in thought. "So if I go every day?" Kim Ho continued, "Then you won't have any points left to do anything else." Go Hee-young looked up at him and asked, "Is there another way?" Kim Ho's eyes immediately lit up. "There is, a season pass." He told Go Hee-young, "It's given only to the leader of each faction, and to get it, you'll have to snatch Mu Young-run's position in the Knight's Order." Hearing that name, Go Hee-young stammered nervously, I don't think I can do that yet." Go Hee-young quietly said, "For now, saving points seems like the best option." Hearing this, Kim Ho suggested, "I'll get it for you, as long as you promise to repay me." Go Hee-young asked curiously, "What do you need from me?" Kim Ho looked him straight in the eye. "Level up with me in the deep area of the dungeon." Under the table, Go Hee-young's hands clenched his pants. In his ear, Kim Ho's voice echoed, "But thinking back to the Foddy Forest today makes me hesitate a little. Depending on the situation, this could be life-threatening. So, do you want to go?" To Kim Ho's surprise, Go Hee-young replied, "A martial artist must always want to become stronger. You've already laid the path for me." He resolutely slapped his chest, and affirmed, "I cannot refuse my benefactor. Of course I accept." Kim Ho saw the determination within him and exclaimed, "Excellent. Now, don't hesitate and just burn through those points. Camp out in the special mana room. I'll get you a season pass in 2 weeks." Go Hee-young replied without thinking, 2 weeks? That works, I'll wait." A thought crossed Kim Ho's mind, "While Go Hee-young levels up, I'll go trade items." At this moment at workshop number 4, Kim Ho gently pushed the door open, his voice cautious, "Excuse me." Inside the room, a back-bent-over work spoke up, "Who's there?" Kim Ho stepped in with an awkward smile. "Hello, I'm here because I'm interested in the Magic Technology Club." The young man continued meticulously soldering and asked, "Then why didn't you go to workshop number 1 first?" Kim Ho explained, "I did. They told me I should start at workshop 4. The repairman heard this and annoyed, seriously. He took off his safety glasses, and a pair of dark circles under his eyes immediately confirmed the annoyance on his face. "Just take a look and go. We're busy, don't disturb us." Kim Ho understood the senior's busy schedule, turned around, and politely said, "Yes, I'll watch in silence." Looking at the skilled hands handling each solder joint, he guessed, this level of magic technology skill must be B rank, right? Before leaving, he gently reached his hand behind the repairman's back and used copy. He told himself, first objective complete. The system immediately announced, skill added to empty slot. Magic technology B. Copied skill 2, 1. Hummingbird A. 2. Magic technology B. Kim Ho glanced back at the busy young man and thought, now, the next thing must be somewhere around here. Suddenly, a satisfied smile appeared on his lips. Kim Ho thought to himself, here it is. Holding the item, he looked around, bewildered, and called out, "Sir, I found this. It looks valuable." The repairman recognized it. That tungsten cube. He indifferently explained to Kim Ho, that thing requires a ridiculously high skill rank, so no one ever makes it. It's just trash. Kim Ho looked at the cube with interested eyes. How interesting. If you don't need it, can I have it? Of course, I don't intend to take it for free. The system immediately displayed a notification, purchased. Received heat reaction catalyst, minus 1000 points. Then Kim Ho smiled happily, holding out an item for exchange. Please accept this. He was very confident with the item in his hand. A heat reaction catalyst isn't a top-tier item, but in magic technology, you can never have enough of them. The repairman took it. Just this once, don't go bragging to others. Kim Ho happily replied, "Thank you, sir." Behind Kim Ho, the repairman held up the glass jar and happily thought, nice, saved 1000 points. Kim Ho contentedly thought, he sold trash for 1000 points, it'd be strange if he wasn't happy. Looking at the system screen, he wondered, but is this really trash? The screen displayed a sub-quest, the cube beyond the gate, a strange cube found from the Magic Technology Workshop. Objective, rank average or higher in the ranking test. Reward, unlock quest chain. Seeing this, he subtly smiled, realizing, the quest is trash, really. Who would want to do something this troublesome? The final reward for the quest, rank item, life cube. Stepping into a room, a thought crossed his mind, I've upgraded countless rank heroes. This is the mana training center. He hugged the cube and thought, so I already know how to do it without the quest. The screen displayed, use amplification. Upgrade magic technology that is. Duration, 59 seconds. Cooldown, 58 minutes 58 seconds. Himho excitedly held out the cube. Let's begin. With each rotation he made, the countdown timer displayed, duration, 47 seconds. Himho picked up a square block. On the screen was the system's countdown timer, duration, 14 seconds. He thought to himself, at this rate, I'll be done in 3 days. A moment later, the screen notified, amplification, duration 0 seconds. Magic technology lowered tis. Cooldown, 58 minutes 54 seconds. As he neared completion, he let out a breath and thought, 1 minute flies by so fast. Himho meditated before the cube. He thought, if the rank drops, I can't operate the cube anymore. So I'll meditate to refine my core. At this moment, the countdown timer also stopped. Duration 0 seconds. Himho suddenly opened his eyes. 1 meditation, 1 minute to adjust the cube, then repeat. The system now displayed a notification. Used amplification. Duration, 1 minute. Upgraded magic technology Vetus. He placed his hand on the cube, and a purple aura swirled around the back of his hand. He told himself, I must complete the life cube before Friday, because that event will activate on the first Friday. Looking at the sun's rays streaming through the walls, he realized, alright, it's already morning. Time for school. Himho sat at his desk and greeted Seo Ren, good morning, you're here early. She looked at him indifferently and replied, yeah, I woke up early. Seeing the empty seat next to him, he wondered, Go Hyun isn't here yet. Suddenly, Seo Ren placed a package in front of him. Here, these cookies. Seeing them, he exclaimed in surprise, oh, for me. Thank you. Holding the cookies, he was delighted. Those are cookies. Awesome. At this moment, Go Hyun appeared from behind and called out, Brother Kim, Miss Song Chun Hai, good morning. Chewing on the delicious cookie, Kim Ho was curious. You're late. How was the special room? Go Hyun excitedly recounted, it's the first time I've felt my inner power increase so quickly. It feels like I'm about to break through a new realm. Kim Ho was delighted to hear this. Excellent. I'll get the season pass as soon as possible. Go Hyun smiled faintly, encouraged by Kim Ho's support. Thank you, brother. Beside them, Seo Rin grumbled inwardly, it's not a dinosaur, you know. At that moment, instructor Lee Soo-dok entered, his voice stern, everyone, silence and take your seats. Standing on the podium, he crossed his arms, his face serious. Before class, I have an announcement for you all. Starting today, we will hold duels in the arena. Lee Soo-dok briefly explained, the time limit has been increased to 10 minutes, so adjust accordingly. The large screen displayed, arena, random map, deathmatch rules. Time 10 minutes. Lee Soo-dok laid out the rules. First years must participate in at least 3 duels this week. If you forfeit, points will be deducted. You've been warned. That's all. Kim Ho immediately understood the instructor's intention. He subtly smirked and muttered, so it begins. I'll win this duel round. After a moment of thought, he walked over and placed a hand on Go Hyun's shoulder. Let's go to the arena. The first few replays are the most valuable. Along with Go Hyun's reply, a small hand gently tugged at Kim Ho's sleeve. Alright, let's go quickly. Seo Ren looked eager. I'm free today. The students behind them looked confused, and Kim Ho was also confused. Huh. What do you mean? After a moment, he collected himself and asked, do you mean practicing Mount a bullet creation like the other day? Seo Ren slowly replied, yes. Kim Ho then sighed in relief, alright, I'll see you later. Seo Ren, still expressionless, said, okay. That afternoon, at the arena, as Kim Ho and Go Hyun entered, a curious voice called out. From a distance, another student, Yeon Jom, asked sarcastically, you know that person? His friend said, that's the guy who surrendered before fighting Miss Song Chun Hai. He said without respect, he's the coward I just heard about. Go Hyun angrily shouted, are you talking out of turn in front of him? He was about to say more when a hand stopped him. Pathetic. Go Hyun looked bewildered. Kim Ho didn't pay attention to what the two were saying. He calmly asked them, how did you do on the ranking test? I got 300 points. What about you? Yeon Jom immediately started sweating. He still kept his arrogant tone. 300 points. What? My score is the same as this swordmaster's. He yelled furiously, do you think I'm at the same level as a nobody like you? If it wasn't for Song Chun Hai in the second round. Hearing that name, Kim Ho's voice became much more excited. Song Chun Hai, That reminds me, the person who got shocked had to be carried out. Was that you? Veins immediately bulged on his forced smile. What? Young Jong snarled, enunciating each word. Fine, it's lucky we have the same score. With an arrogant look, he pointed at Kim Ho and flatly stated, come down here, you coward, I'll show you a wall you can't overcome. Immediately after, a match between the two was set. Scores, Young Jong 100 vs. Kim Ho 100. Young Jong arrogantly brandished his spear. Just one blow. Kim Ho agreed without hesitation. One blow is all it takes. The referee's voice rang out, begin. The two immediately charged at each other. Kim Ho's eyes didn't even blink as the spear tip aimed directly at his face. He softly reminded Young Jong sarcastically, idiot, you fell for it again. The screen displayed, paralysis effect applied. Young Jong asked, bewildered, this is. Kim Ho raised his weapon high, his voice cold, sorry, but you won't get a one-shot kill like Sung Chun Hai. Young Jong suddenly panicked and tried to stop him. Wait, stop. For about 2 seconds. Not hearing him, a blade struck down, and a tragic scream echoed. The large screen displayed the score, Young Jong vs. Kim Ho wins. Kim Ho awkwardly said with a teasing tone, the coward lost. Young Jong was unwilling. I was just careless, let's fight again, I'll win. Kim Ho accepted his request without hesitation. Oh yeah? Then let's fight again. The screen once again displayed, Young Jong 100 vs. Kim Ho 100. Young Jong yelled angrily, this time it won't be that easy. Immediately after, the command begin, rang out. The result appeared unchanged. Scores, Young Jong loses vs. Kim Ho wins. Kim Ho looked at his pathetic state and quietly asked, why aren't you making any progress? Young Jong, with numerous injuries on his head, still snarled, damn it. He looked up, his face swollen from being beaten, and loudly declared, this time I'll win, Kim Ho, this madman. Kim Ho decisively turned around. I'm tired, that's enough for today. Kim Ho looked at the screen and worriedly thought, I need to fight 3 duels. But the content on the screen clearly read, Subquest, Duel Week 1. Objective, complete 3 duels by Sunday midnight. Reward depends on the number of wins. For now, act like it doesn't need to be completed yet. At this moment, he suddenly said to Young Jong, if you want, I can teach you. But first, he sat down in front of him, tuition fee. Young Jong immediately gritted his teeth and cursed, you demon. However, he decisively handed over a wooden box. This is a family elixir my family makes. I'll give you this. Kim Ho exclaimed in surprise, that's good. Kim Ho lowered his voice and seriously instructed him, one more condition, no recording of this match, and don't reveal anything about this fight outside. Young Jong obediently replied, okay, I gain nothing if this gets out. Receiving the box, Kim Ho happily said, then I've received my tuition. I'll play until you're satisfied. A moment later, the results board displayed, Young Jong vs. Kim Ho wins. Looking at his battered body, Kim Ho thought, is that a no? Well done. At this moment, Young Jong suddenly sat up and spoke, wait, I want to apologize for my initial rudeness. He scratched his head and said awkwardly, I judged you based on only one side of you. You're not a coward. Kim Ho turned away, looking calm. No, for now, let me be the coward. Young Jong asked back, bewildered, be the coward for now. After Kim Ho left, Young Jong quietly said, alright, I won't pry. I can't be the only one suffering, right? At this moment, Kim Ho approached Go Hee-young curiously and asked, I'm done. How about you? Go Hee-young happily replied, I've won 2 matches. Looking at the system screen, I'll finish the 3rd match before I go. Brother Kim, you can go ahead. Kim Ho encouraged him. Alright, do well. A moment later, at the mana training room, Kim Ho worriedly asked, have you been waiting long? Come sit here. Seo Ren indifferently replied, The two sat opposite each other, starting with the first lesson on mana bullets. Kim Ho checked her current proficiency by telling her, try creating a mana bullet. Seeing the mana floating in her palm, he thought in surprise, incredible, she was able to put Song Chun Hai at a disadvantage while just randomly creating mana clumps. Before her bewildered gaze, he said, alright, let's start learning distribution. First, use the correct amount of mana for 1 bullet. Later her progress board appeared, Sirenths 1, 99 98. Kim Ho sat under a mountain, his body protected by a layer of mana. He carefully calculated, to avoid a musketeer's vision, I just need to use the environment. It would be difficult to search every sand dune. But Seo Ren has a special eye, an unusual mana flow among the sand dunes. A thought flashed through his mind, even if she destroys all the sand dunes, she won't break my barrier. As he dodged a grazing bullet, he calmly thought, there's nothing to fear from a marksman who can't even break Song Chun Hai's shield. Realizing her protective shield was shattered, the other person panicked. No, what is this? In the distance, Seo Ren continued to aim directly, bullets flying continuously. The other guy clutched his head and yelled in panic, it hurts. After a struggle, the results appeared. Frieren wins. 1 loses. The scene shifted to a tall building, a room still lit late into the night. At this moment, a magic orb displayed footage of Yam Jong's battle. Along with it, a fleeting thought: Hummingbird's movements are very erratic. Her control has reached its peak. Instructor Lee Soo-dok meticulously rewatched everyone's matches. The second match was the same. That girl was toying with her opponent. Looking at the pile of items on the table, he thought, but that's not the only problem. In front of him were Song Chun-hai's orb, Seo-ren's ranking test, and the bullet that was originally just a rough mana clump. Just then, Wan's frightened face clearly appeared, having become a complete mana bullet. Can someone change so much in just 2 days? Lee Soo-dok recalled Kim Ho's words in class. You mean practicing mana bullet creation like the other day, right? Alright, I'll see you later. When he saw Kim Ho's face, he immediately became annoyed. This guy again. Looking at Kim Ho's always calm face, Lee Soo-dok wondered, Kim Ho, who exactly are you? At the same time, Kim Ho, with a perfectly formed cube, joyfully exclaimed inwardly, it's done, it's done. Just then, the screen displayed, Life Cube A, increases effects for life storage type items by 1.3 times. Yeah.